special right triangles. So, familiar tayo pag sinabing right triangles, pero ano kaya yung dahilan kung bakit tinawag silang special ngayong araw? Ano kaya yung mga characteristics na meron dito sa right triangles na to? Let's have the first special right triangles to be discussed. So, it is gonna be the isosceles right triangle o tinatawag din natin siya sa 45-45-90 triangle. Yan yung isa niya pang pangalan. Dalawa pangalan yan eh. So, it is called as an isosceles right triangle because aside from being a right triangle, this triangle is also isosceles. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng isosceles? Yung dalawang measurements na or dalawang sides ng triangle na to ay congruent. And specifically, we are talking about the legs of this given right triangle. Congruent sila. So ito yung example natin ng isosceles right triangle. And it is also called as a 45-45-90 triangle because the angles inside this given right triangle is gonna be equal to 45, 45, and 90 degrees. Ayan. So unang property, if this is x, this is also x. Congruent yung dalawang sides. Kaya nga siya tinawag na isosceles. Ayan. For example, ang sukat ng isang ay 7. Ayan, if the measurement of one leg is 7, the other leg will also be measuring equal to 7. 'Di ba? So, yung isang leg natin is also equal to 7. Gets po? Ayan. So, another idea why is it special compared to other right triangles is that it says here that the length of the hypotenuse is equal to the length of the leg times the square root of 2. Usually, when we are dealing with right triangles and we are to identify the measurement of its sides or its missing side, ang ginagawa natin madalas ay gumagamit tayo ng Pythagorean theorem. Dito, hindi mo na kailangan kasi meron special properties yung mga sides ng triangle na to, especially the isosceles right triangle. So in this case, all you need to do, 'di ba? Sabi yan, yung length daw ng hypotenuse, equivalent lang ito sa length ng leg times square root of 2. So, measurement of the legs will be x, and therefore, you just multiply square root of 2 from it, you'll get x square root of 2. So, kung ang sukat ng, for example, ang sukat ng isang leg ay 7, ibig sabihin, ang hypotenuse natin ay 7 square root of 2. Nag-multiply ka lang ng square root of 2. Gets po? Ayan. So, yan yung dahilan kung bakit siya special right triangle. Dahil sa mga relationships pagdating sa sides nito. And how do we apply this following properties? Let's have the following example. Find the missing side on each given. So, let's have number 1. So, we have here, how do we identify if this given triangle is an isosceles right triangle? Ayan o. Yung dalawang sukat ng legs natin is gonna be congruent. So, it's gonna be an isosceles right triangle. At the same time, kahit hindi natin sulat, this is gonna be a 45-45-90 degree angle as well. So first, if the measurement of one of the legs is 5, wherein A is equal to 5, what do you think is the measurement of B? So, since this one is an isosceles right triangle, kung ang sukat ng isang leg mo ay 5, the other leg also will measure equivalent to 5. Ayan. So, very good. The correct answer, B is equal to 5. Next, how do we now identify the measurement of the hypotenuse? Katulad nga nung binanggit as a property of this given special right triangle, if you want to identify the measurement of the hypotenuse, you just multiply the measurement of the leg to square root of 2. So, if one of the measurement of the leg is 5, ano ngayon yung sukat nitong hypotenuse natin, which is represented by variable C? Oh, times mo lang daw ng square root of 2 kung ano man yung value ng leg. So, ang magiging sukat ng ating hypotenuse will be 5 square root of 2. Ayan, no? 5. Then, multiply ka lang ng square root of 2. Kaya siya naging 5 square root of 2. Gets po? O, diba? Madali lang. O, sige, let's have another example. Let's proceed with number 2. So, on this given, first, you have to identify isosceles right triangle ba to? O 45-45-90 ba siya? Tignan natin. So, one of the acute angle is 45. So, we can already say that this is an isosceles right triangle because the sum of the interior angles, I mean the sum of the acute angle is gonna be 90. So kung 45 to, 45 din yung isang angle. So it's gonna be a 45, 45, 90 triangle. That means we can apply the given property. But on this given, binigyan naman tayo ng value ng ating hypotenuse and it is gonna be equal to 3 square root of 2. Ayun, paano naman natin i-identify yung sukat nung legs when the given is the hypotenuse? So all you need to do is to divide square root of 2 from the given hypotenuse. So if the given hypotenuse is 3 square root of 2, yan, divide lang natin. So 3 square root of 2, divide tayo ng square root of 2 dyan. Masisimplify natin yung square root of 2 over square root of 2 at ang matitira ay 3. Therefore, that is the value of one of your legs. 3. At dahil nga isosceles right triangle ito, ayun din yung sukat ng isa pa nating leg. Gets po? O, di ba? Kayang-kaya natin yan. Madali lang intindihin ang properties nito. Anyway, let's proceed with number 3. We have here another 45, 45, 90 triangle or as an isosceles right triangle. So, 45 to. So, 45 din yung isa. Ayan. Next, if A is equal to square root of 2, anong value ng B? O, B muna tayo. Mamaya na tayo ma-stress sa C. O, pares lang naman legs yan, di ba? Legs to si A, ganun din si B. Legs sila parehas. So, if A is equal to square root of 2, B is also equal to square root of 2. Now, how about if we want to get the value of C? So, gagawin natin dyan, kuha tayo ng value ng isang leg. Pares lang naman yan eh, square root of 2. And sabi nga dito, if you want to get the measurement of the hypotenuse coming from the leg, you just need to multiply it by square root of 2. So, times square root of 2. So, if we multiply them, we'll get square root of 2 times square root of 2. Product rule ng radical expression, we can just write it in a single radical sign. So, it's gonna be 2 times 2. Pares naman ng index, square root sila parehas. So, it's gonna be equal to square root of 4. And square root of 4 is just equal to 2. Therefore, A is equal, or sorry, not A. C pala itong pinag-uusapan natin, sorry. C. Yan. So, C or our hypotenuse is equal to 2. Gets po? Ayan. Yan. So, the second special right triangle to be discussed today is gonna be the 30, 60, 90 triangle. So, obviously, it is called a 30, 60, 90 triangle because the angles inside this right triangle is gonna be 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and also 90 degrees. But wala siyang ibang special name unlike yung kanina, 'di ba? Isosceles right triangle. Ito talagang 30, 60, 90 triangle lang siya. But one way for us to understand the relationship when it comes to the sides of this given right triangle is for us to first identify kung nasan ba dyan si longer leg, si shorter leg, at saka si hypotenuse. And for us to better understand that one, kailangan mong ibase yung angle nila. So, based on the measurements of the angle, I mean, tama, sa measurements ng angle yan. So, para malaman mo kung nasan yung shorter leg, hanapin mo kung nasan yung smallest angle. And that's gonna be 30 degrees. Opposite ng 30 degrees na yan is gonna be the shortest side or shorter leg. Bakit shorter leg, Sir Valera? Kasi dalawa lang naman yung leg mo dyan eh. Opposite your right angle, it's already your hypotenuse. So, dalawa na lang yung side natin. And that's gonna be the legs of this given right triangle. So, yung mas maigse, shorter leg. Yung mas mahaba, longer leg. At yung longer leg na yon ay yung opposite ng 60 degrees. Gets po? Ayan. So, what are the relationships behind this given longer leg, shorter leg, and hypotenuse? Yan. In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, it says here that the hypotenuse is twice the length of the shorter leg. Hypotenuse is twice the length of the shorter leg. So, for example, ayan, nakalagay na nga dito, if the shorter leg is x, if you want to get the measurement of the longer leg, I mean, the hypotenuse, multiply mo lang siya sa 2. So, from x, kaya siya naging 2x. Gets po? So, for example, ang sukat ng x natin ay 12. Or I mean, ang sukat ng shorter leg mo ay 12. Times 2 mo lang, makukuha mo yung sukat ng hypotenuse. That's gonna be equal to 24. 12 times 2. Gets po? Ulitin natin. Gets po? Ayun, meron palang nakaintindi. Anyway, so how about the longer leg? Yan, sabi dito, the length of the longer leg is square root of 3 times the shorter leg. So in this case, times mo lang daw ng square root of 3 yung shorter leg kung gusto mong kuhain yung sukat ng longer leg. Kaya nga dito, if the shorter leg is x, you can get that longer leg. You just need to multiply square root of 3 from that one and we'll get x square root of 3. So for example, kung ang sukat ng shorter leg mo ay 12, your longer leg will be equal to 12 square root of 3. Gets po? Ayan. So, that's gonna be the different relationship inside this special. Kaya nga siya special right triangle. Now, para mas maintindihan natin kung paano natin ina-apply yung mga relationship na to pagdating sa sides nitong 30, 60, 90 triangle, let's have this given example. Let's identify or find the value of x and y on the following. Let's have number 1. Yan. So, una, tignan mo muna, 30, 60, 90 triangle ba to? Yes, because the angles inside this given right triangle is 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and also 90 degrees. Now, second step for this one is for us to identify which among the sides is gonna be your shorter leg, longer leg, and the hypotenuse. So, madali dyan unang hanapin yung shorter leg. It is the one opposite your 30 degrees. So, ayun yon, yung 3. And we can also identify the hypotenuse easily by locating the right angle and the side opposite the right angle. That's gonna be your hypotenuse. And the remaining side, which is the one opposite your 60 degrees, is your longer leg. Gets po? Yan. Once na ma-identify mo na yan, balik tayo sa relationship na discuss natin kanina. Shorter leg is the hypotenuse is twice your shorter leg. So, kung ang sukat ng shorter leg mo ay 3, sige, you can type your answers on the chat box. If the measurement of the shorter leg is 3, anong sukat ng hypotenuse or yung x natin dito? Ito, times 2 lang, di ba? So, what we can do is to multiply that 3 to 2 and we'll get the hypotenuse. Multiply nyo lang sa 2 and that's gonna be equal to 6. Now, how about the longer leg? Ang sabi dito, longer leg is square root of 3 times the shorter leg. So, balik ka sa shorter leg. Then, i-multiply mo naman ito sa square root of 3 para naman makuha mo yung sukat ng longer leg. Multiply mo lang to sa square root of 3. Ang longer leg mo is 3 square root of 3. Gets po? Ayan. O, sige, let's have another example para mas maintindihan pa natin. Let's have this one, number 2. So, one of the angles of this right angle is 30 degrees. So, that means the other angle, we can safely assume that it is equal to 60 degrees. Kasi ang sum nitong dalawa dapat 90. Di ba? Sum of the acute angles of a right triangle is 90 degrees. So, it's safe that this given right triangle is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. That means yung relationship na meron tayo dito sa kaliwa ay applicable. But let's have identified the parts present. Opposite ng 30 degrees, shorter leg. Opposite ng right angle, hypotenuse. And opposite nung 60 degrees natin is gonna be your longer leg. Oh. So kung ang hypotenuse natin ay 18, punta tayo sa shorter leg. Paano natin makukuha yung shorter leg? O kabaligtaran lang, if nagmumultiply tayo ng 2, galing shorter leg papuntang hypotenuse, baligtarin natin. Divide naman tayo ng 2. Galing hypotenuse papuntang shorter leg. So if the hypotenuse is 18, we divide 2 from that, we'll get x is equal to 9 or your shorter leg is equal to 9. So how about the longer leg? So multiply naman natin to sa 9 sa square root of 3. Therefore, yan, shorter leg yung i-multiply. So, magiging 9 square root of 3. Let's have this last example for this slide. So, this, we have 60 degrees to. So, 30 degrees na yung isa. Sum nila dapat 90. Yan. So, that means opposite niyang 30 is gonna be your shorter leg. Opposite ng right angle is hypotenuse. And opposite ng 60 degrees is the longer leg. Yan, longer leg pala yan, si 7 square root of 3. So, madali lang sa atin. Anong sukat ng shorter leg? Galing ng longer leg, papunta ng shorter leg, mag-divide ka lang ng square root of 3. So, from 7 square root of 3, you just divide square root of 3 from that. So, we can just simplify. At ang matitira na dyan for the value of x is 7. So, yun na yung shorter leg natin. Very good. Rian, Reynalyn, John Marcel, Jamie Lynn. Yan. Tama. X is equal to 7. Now, this time, may shorter leg ka na, hindi na magiging mahirap yung hypotenuse kasi times 2 mo lang. Ayun na yung sukat ng hypotenuse. So, from the shorter leg, which is equal to 7 times 2. Therefore, the value of y is equal to 14. Gets po? Ayan. So, yan ang naman yung properties na present sa ating the second special right triangle, which is 30, 60, 90 triangle.